Hello, everyone, and welcome to our program. I'm Dr. Jane Kani Edward, President of the Equatorian South Sudanese Community Association, ESSCA-USA. I'm having a conversation with Regina Jacob, President of ESSCA in the state of Missouri in the United States of America. This conversation is part of ESSCA-USA Community Outreach Program. It is an initiative intended to highlight the voices of our community members and to hear their perspective on leadership, entrepreneurship, women and youth empowerment, success, or the achievement of the American dream, as well as challenges facing the community. And I hope our viewers will benefit from the conversation. So Regina, before I go directly to the question, if you can introduce to our audience your name and say something about yourself and where you live in the United States and what are some of the languages that you speak and your educational background. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Kane, for giving me this opportunity. I feel privileged to be your audience today, and I will be sharing with you about myself, my role in the community, and also my role outside the community. So my name is Regina Jacob, as you said. I live here in the United States of America, in the state of Missouri. I have lived here since I moved in, so I have never moved out of this state. I came into this state in the year 2001. I speak 5 languages. My mother tongue is Bari speaker, Kuku particularly. I speak English, of course. I speak Swahili, I speak Arabic, and I speak Luganda. That's where I was born and raised because of, the dynamics of war in our country. So I was privileged to pick up those languages everywhere I found myself. I have a master's degree in sociology, social work, community development. I work in the field of social work. I'm in a hospital setting. I have worked in the field of mental health for over 17 years now. I work in a hospital. This is my first experience working in a medical hospital. We have a psychiatric unit in the medical hospital. So my role is just basically to come in because healing is holistic. You need your emotional, social, and economic to be balanced for you to get well, even when you're taking medication. So on our side, we just basically come in and help the individuals to adjust to their diagnosis and needs outside of the medical setting, and we provide resources and counseling as well. I have also worked in a refugee resettling agency. I worked for 2 years. I left because of the issues facing funding and facing refugees. And I left. I went back into the mental health. I have also done education social work. That was my first job initially when I came in here, working in a school setting. I did not like it, and I did not spend a lot of time in it. I have also worked in child welfare, child protective services. So if your parents out there, I can come after you if you are being abusive towards your children. And abuse can look differently. So, but anyhow, I have worked in that field, and it's so sad to say it was one of my shortest jobs I ever worked, less than 1 year, because I could not take the trauma and the things that was happening, to children. I come from a culture that condones corporal discipline, but it was not to that extent of, intent abuse. It's meant like to, discipline the child. Not to say that I still condone that, or not to say that I approve that, because there are alternative ways of, disciplining. But that's a little bit about myself.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your experience, your short experience about your work. And you said you speak 5 languages. If you could explain to our viewers, like, how did you learn all these languages, 5 languages?
Actually, I never went to a classroom, so I cannot write those languages, some of those languages perfectly. You pick them along the way. Our setting there is not like where we are here. You have to go to an institution and learn a language. You're locked indoors and all this. So you learn them in the neighborhood with the children, that speak that popular culture. So I would say the first language that I learned and I would speak perfectly was Luganda, because I was born in Uganda, Kampala, and raised there until, my early teen years. And then we moved home because there was war also there. So when I moved home to South Sudan, I learned Arabic because I also got pushed to an environment where, Arabic was commonly spoken. So English, my media of instruction has been in English from elementary one through college or, high learning. So it was in English. I learned Arabic, but I cannot speak it. I cannot speak Arabic. I cannot write Arabic fluently. Okay. I can write Luganda. It's one of the languages that I think I'm fluent in. I can write it. I cannot write my own language because I never learned it in a classroom. That's so sad. But I can write it. I have wise words, proverbs, storytelling in a foreign language than in my own language. So that's the sad thing with our country being so unstable and in war for such a long time, that we lose out on part of our culture. But I'm very glad that my parents really worked very hard to help me learn that language. At the time they did it, I didn't understand why, but I do understand it comes down to acquiring your cultural heritage, because it's your identity. So our parents, I think they succeeded. Unlike us, I question myself and my failure to have failed to pass on that to my children to be able to speak it. But I understand that our settings are different also.
Exactly. And I think majority of us actually learned other languages, just like the spoken one, a verbal language, but not written one.
Not written.
Like I can speak the Bari language, but I can't write it. Yeah, I can't write it.
So
that's I think the experiences of so many South Sudanese people actually. And
very true.
And still you're born during wartime, and still we're taking care of our kids during wartime as well.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. Yeah. So if you could tell us briefly, you mentioned something about your children and that you failed to inculcate our cultural practices like learning the language to your own children. If you can tell us briefly about your family and your children, that will be helpful.
Yeah, so I am married. I'm happily married, and I'm a daunting mother of 4 children. I have 3 daughters and 1 son. My daughter's ages are 24, is the oldest daughter. My second daughter is 22 years old. My third is 15, is my son, and the youngest is 12 years old. My oldest daughter graduated 2 years ago from Missouri, University of Missouri, Kansas City. She's a marketing major. She's currently working in Atlanta, Georgia with Altria Incorporated. She's one of the area territory managers, and she is also doing her master's at Emory University. My second daughter is studying in Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. She is at Medill School of Journalism. She graduates this June. I hope we will have a graduation. We're excited and looking forward to have a second graduate in the house as one of our children. My third son is in high school. He's in sophomore year, and my daughter is in middle school. So they are the reason I do what I do. I feel blessed. I'm humbled that I'm blessed with good children. I thank God for everything, the strength, the wisdom, the guidance He's been able to instill in me to help them be where they are. And also I thank God for giving me children that are able to take advice and are able to benefit from where I lost my country, and I brought them to an environment where I feel like they should acquire more. They are the reasons I ventured out here. Without them, I think I would have thought like, what is there? But because of the dim future that we had in our country and the war, all of us, I believe, migrated out here with the hopes of better lives for ourselves and our children. So that's
great. Actually, that's great that you are able to bring up these children and they're doing well in their education. And I think every parent actually wanted that to happen to their own children, especially in this country where people come as refugees, and then you have to figure out how to take care of your children in a new environment. And speaking of migrating from one home country to the United States, if you could share with us briefly, like when did you come to the United States, for example, and how did you adjust to life in America, especially given the fact that the cultural practices in the US is a little bit different from where many South Sudanese actually come from. So if you could share with us that experience, and also many immigrants who come here to the United States, or refugees who come to the United States, sometimes they come to one state and then they move from one state to another. So if let us let us know if Missouri is your first destination, or you settle in another state within the United States and then move to Missouri.
Thank you. So Missouri is my, state of origin. I moved in and stayed here and have never moved out. So I came to the United States in June of 2001. It was difficult. It was different and difficult and challenging as well. Adjusting to, the process was tough. For me, as a right-handed person, I describe it as writing with my left hand. I struggle, it's like scratching, or chicken leg, scratching. So the new environment is different. The culture, especially social life and the way of doing things and everything completely was different. But I was privileged because I could speak English. I could write English. I was able to read. I could read and know where I'm going, my directions, unless my fellow people that struggled more than I did because they could not read, they could not understand English, either they studied in Arabic or other languages and English was difficult. So they relied on other people to do something as simple as reading your letter and reading your mail. And I think that was really disturbing. You feel like you don't know who you are anymore. You've lost yourself. That's the experience of migration and loss of your own homeland. Your identity is like shattered, So that was the privilege that I had, I could remember I had to help fellow people. We came together, but I still felt like I was here before them because I could read their mail. I could explain that to them, yeah. So that helped me to adjust fairly, much easier and much smoother than somebody that did not speak language because they faced the barrier of the language, and could not speak it, and you required help to do that. That also did help me in transitioning, into the labor market because I was able to, speak English and could get trained and adjust in that area. So
yeah, exactly. And like many of us actually who are here, we didn't move directly from Sudan to the United States. We went to other countries and then we moved here. And for your case, because you were born in Uganda, so when you are coming to the United States, you came directly from Uganda to here, or you went to another country within Africa, and then from there you moved to the United States?
All right. So initially, again, there was war in Uganda. We were born and raised there when there was, I think, the first civil war in Sudan in the 50s. Our parents fled there. We were born there, raised, and then till 1979, there was war again in Uganda, and our parents fled back. So I came back to Sudan actually in 1980. We moved from the central part of Uganda, the city, because they thought it was the most affected by the war, and we moved further north, Moyo district. So we lived there, started school. The war reached to that far end. Oops. And at that time, oops, I lost you.
No, I'm
sorry.
here.
I did something. Yeah. Okay. At that time, we entered South Sudan. We entered Sudan. At the time, it was Sudan.
It was Sudan.
So yeah. So my first area after I relocated from my home, narrow home, I'd say from Uganda, Kampala, was to Moyo, and then from Moyo to Kajukeji. That's my hometown. So I stayed there, and due to education, I moved to Juba. I was to join Juba University, but because of the war and the politics going on and everything, it didn't work out fine. I moved to Khartoum and I joined the High Institute of Learning. That's where I graduated my first bachelor's degree. So I was in Khartoum, and then from Khartoum, I moved to Egypt. So from Egypt is when I transitioned here. It's really sad, the tough story of my sweet, bitter country, just being unstable for such a long time. Born in exile, raising your own children in exile, and God forbid our children are going to have their own children in exile too. But that's our nightmare as Sudanese. So that was my movement during, the war to find myself. So I believe it's still the struggle to find ourselves. I feel like this is not yet done. We need to find ourselves because we don't fit well in here. We're not adjusting well. The dreams we come up, some of them are not being realized. And some of us are asking, was coming here a blessing or was it a disaster for me? We're rethinking the decision. So we just don't know what is next from here. But I believe that we just need to come together as a people, as a community, and ask that question and invest in trying to help ourselves adjust wherever we live.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Actually, coming from one place due to war, and then you are plugged into a new setting, you have to adjust. And you're right that not everybody actually adjusted to the life here, because people came with dreams. And majority of us actually who came here in older generation, we came with the dreams that we are going to have our children here and our children are going to study and they become better citizens than ourselves. Yeah, and sometimes those dreams are not
It's sad.
yeah, those dreams are not yet achieved for others. So now we are going to move to the ESSCA, Missouri, and I think you are the president of ESSCA in the state of Missouri. So if
Yes.
you could share with us briefly about your involvement with ESSCA and why did you decide to run for the leadership of the ESSCA office in your state?
I actually do think that you are the reason, Jane Kani and your team in the Office of Women Affairs that put me in this position. Initially, when you visited us, I think it was September, was it 2019? And we had
2018.
2018, thank you. Yeah, my dates are off. Yeah. So in
Yeah,
2018, yeah, you visited us. We had a very wonderful women's conference. And we were talking about how our community was not organized. And you ladies encouraged us, yeah, I need to do something. You need to get together. You need to organize the community. You need to do that and do this and that. So we felt it a challenge. So it was initially 4 ladies, actually, that came up with the idea. We gathered the community and we told them that we need to be organized. Because initially when I moved into this state, there was an Equatorian family and down the road, it just scattered, it disappeared, and we have been without a community for quite a very long time, maybe 10 years, you know? So I guess everybody was waiting for somebody to start, you know? So when we called the meeting, it was October, I remember vividly, 19. We sat down and we talked, and the members go like, yeah, the leaders, because you started it. They say, you're the leaders, you have the vision, you know why you're starting it. So we're proposing that the 4 of you stay in the office. So, you know, so it was myself, Priscilla Ikisa, Alawea Fataki, and one lady, Arisi or Connie. And then they just added a list of about 6 men to join us in the office. The Secretary General, we had, I think, our finance officer and other offices, Office of Youth and Youth Affairs was added. So that was how I came to be into this office. I basically accepted the challenge because I have a passion for giving back, for making a difference. And I felt like I could make a difference. So if I could, why not? I also wanted to be a role model, you know, to my own children, to other women and other people in the community, to show them that women are limitless, they can do anything and everything that they put their mind to acquire with the support around them, especially if it has to do with the community. So I really just was passionate about getting our community organized, and that we felt we could not be disorganized as we were anymore, so that we could be able to move together as a unit, as a community, and organize ourselves to achieve the aspirations that we came out here to do.
Yeah, that's great. And you mentioned that you have like some women and also some men who join you. If you could give us like how many women are in your office now and how many male members of the, do you have like two like similar structures, like the main office, the board of directors, and then the executive?
Yes, we do. So we have a board of directors. In the board of directors, I have there's 1 woman, 4 men. Our board of directors comprised of 5 guys. And I read you the name. I have Samuel Yoyo, Simon Ocheng, Rosemary Baya, Elikana Jale, and Joseph Demiri. So those are members of the board, yeah. And then in the executive, of course, I have myself as the chairperson, Priscilla Kisa as the deputy, Alawea Fataki as the information officer, and Connie Sabino as the Women Affairs officer. Yeah, and then we do have Office of Youth Affairs. We have the chairperson, and we have 2 people. We felt like we needed to do more work in that area, so it's the area that has more individuals, and these are young people that we felt would be able to help us, you know, engage the community, especially our youth, to be role models to them and be able to help us, you know, program in that area and meet the needs of our youth.
Yeah, and actually that's our main agenda. Actually, the ESSCA main office, we also want to promote the our youth so that they can become active in the community and also promote some of the activities of the organization, whether in the national level or in the state level. And I think that's a good step forward, actually. And I know that leading an organization is not an easy thing, especially a community organization with people with diverse perspective and understanding of what that organization should do for the community, whether here in the United States or back home. So if you can share with us at least some of the programs that your office actually put together to address some of the concerns of the community here, and some of the achievements and challenges in achieving those programs.
Yeah. So initially, we really sold our idea to the community that we just wanted to come together, share ideas and strengthen our community. I know you know something, somebody knows something. If we bring our expertise together, we will be strong. So it was behind actually the emblem of unity that we wanted to come and share ideas and, and be stakeholders. And I really want to encourage that no outsider will come and solve our problems as a people. It is us who own the solution. The problem is ours, and we do own the solution. Yeah, so collaborating and preparing ourselves in diaspora really is going to be the way to help us, achieve the dreams and aspirations that brought us here. So we just need a communal approach. And in that communal approach, you bring the community in and work together and be able to help.
I'm now moving on to your work, because you have been like you're good in promoting women's empowerment issues. And I realized that actually during our two conferences that we invited you as a guest speaker or the keynote speaker, the conference in your state and also the conference in Jacksonville, Florida, after that year. So you presented really a very good analysis of women's role in society and how they can contribute to the progress of any given society. So if you could share with us and our audience what actually motivated you to focus on women's issues in particular. Yeah. And how can you motivate South Sudanese women in the US, for example, to come together to address their concern and also to promote some of the ideas that are helpful to the society, to our community in the US, and also to connect with some of our women in South Sudan.
So really the issues of women empowerment I'm passionate about, and I hold them close to my heart, I guess because of what I've experienced, especially when I moved to Sudan. It was not as loud sticking out in my head when I was, I think, in the other country in Uganda, but I guess because I was also maybe young, but as I matured on this side, I just saw honestly, the segregation, the vivid difference between how women were treated and men were treated, even including innocent unborn baby girls or even newborn girls, young girls, and I just felt like, what is it I could do to help, to encourage and to empower women? First of all, in the culture where you come up, you're not valued, you grow up with a very low self-esteem. And that's one thing that a lot of us inherit, because you're spoken to negatively, you feel you don't belong, you're just here to serve, and that's all, you're a servant, and that's all you can do. So women are kept behind the curtains even when they are able to do things outside of the house. And in my college year, I took a gender class, and that blew my mind away. And since then, everywhere, even, in South Sudan, in Egypt, in Khartoum, actually, I started a women's group. When I left, it was officially funded because, everybody was planning to get out, things were not working for us. But I did get a women's group funded. We just came simple together, organizing, making a cup of coffee, a cup of tea here, sharing our issues, because when women come together and you share your burden and you share what you're going through, it normalizes it and it lessens that burden. You don't take it personal that you see that it's us together. So when you have that support with each other or from within each other, I think it empowers you even more. You learn from others. If I'm having this situation, this is what I'm doing. And we learn from others. And I missed that. The women missed me when I came to Egypt. They kept writing me, and we still remember you. And I moved so far now, I've lost contact with them. So in Egypt, I did do a women's, I did a women's group, like not programming, but a kind of study, a women's group study. And I studied, you know, how the women got together and all this. And I did really learn that in Egypt, it did help the Sudanese women adjust so much to the burdens and the stress they were carrying in Egypt. So this place at Zamalek Church was a place where the women would come and debrief, you know. Everybody came from their morbid job, from their work, hard work. You're treated as a servant, as nobody, you know, but you're making money. You come in there at least and sit down and chill and relax and talk over your issues. It's like you unload the burden there and then you go home and come back. So this group was really very powerful in helping women connect. So when I got here, it's been and it has been my desire to try to get the women to really be that group to support each other and be there for one another. Because if we empower women, I believe that we're empowering a generation. And that helps, because that woman will raise a very strong woman, and that woman goes out as a strong woman. She will be beneficial to society, not only
and they can also raise a strong, a successful man as well, because those who have sons, and I think you're right, especially those of us who left Sudan during the war, and we stayed somewhere. I stayed in Egypt actually, and you mentioned that you talk about the Zamalek Church and how that church actually supported many South Sudanese women during that time. I know Zamalek, and then there's another church that is also populated by many South Sudanese, Sakakini Church in Abbasiyah, in Abbasiyah, and that's a Catholic church actually. And I think women in Egypt at that time, actually, they came together. And I remember when I was there, I don't know when we were in Egypt, but when I was there in the 90s, we actually created this Displaced Mothers Hope Society in Egypt, actually. And it's for mothers. And we're able to actually, although we didn't get funding, but we relied on our own resources, for example, where we've held meetings. If there's sickness among our members in the family or whatever, we put our resources together and to help that family. If there's a baby shower, for example, we also put our hands together and help that family. And most of our members, actually, some of them are either here in the United States, or some of them are in Africa or in Canada. So working together actually is very important. And even the international women's organization, they started, especially in the United States, they started the women movement here in the United States. It started also from the house, where people meet in their homes, and then gradually they move from there to other spaces. So, and I think that's a good comment that you mentioned about that.
Jane, I think maybe I came to the US in 2000, so it looks like 2001 you had left. Maybe it's that group, because it was an organized group there. So when I went in, you know, I was really keen and interested. I just wanted to know how they do. And I did a research study,
and I think Zamalek actually played a great role. The church at Zamalek actually played a great role, because they have like a shop there where they sell produce of women. Women used to make baskets and make like they make baskets.
It's
and
that group,
and t-shirts and all that, and then they sell it at the
they
church.
sell it, okay, it's that group, it's that group that I was talking about.
Okay, that's great, then. So as president of ESSCA, for example, in Missouri, what are some of the challenges you face as a female leader? Because if you know, since this organization started in early 2000s, most of the leaders actually who led this organization, whether in the national level or in most of the state, actually were male. And given our cultures also, people, not everybody, but some people are not yet receptive of the idea that a woman actually can lead in our society. So if you can share with us briefly your experience as a female leader leading our community organization in Missouri. I have my own, I can list all my challenges, but I just want to hear from you, like what are some of the challenges that you encountered as a female leader, whether as a ESSCA leader or any other leadership that you had in the past?
Thank you, bless your heart, being a women leader, So, you know, women challenges are global. You know, we still have a very long way to go as women, even if there's some strides that have been accomplished. but it's still a long way to go, especially in the male-dominated, societies. Yeah, research backs it all up elsewhere, even in Western worlds, how women pay is less compared to men. You could have same degrees and men get paid more because they're men and you're a woman, even if you're the head of the household. Those are real world challenges, and I'm not immune to them. Women struggling to be supported or to create a network of support that will recognize them. Again, it's a boys club. So, sometimes you do not fit in, and then the difference or difficult also balancing family and work, with the women working outside the family, that creates a burden on them because they're already expected by society. And I found out even here in the West that most of the domestic roles are women's roles. Men come in to just give a hand. So that definitely will impede, your ability to be able to be fully available and successful. Again, of course, like I said, facing cultural values that hold us behind. Like you said, someone sees a woman, is she going to tell me this? You're going to tell me others? I'll give you an example of our attitudes, which I've still seen here. In Khartoum, in Jebel Aulia, I was working with the UN. It was a women-funded program, and I was the supervisor. So I had a guy tell me that, so you really think that you're a leader, huh? If I have to be under a leader like you people in Equatoria chose so and so as your female leader, I would go on my I will go to Warap, my state, on my meaning it's impossible. It's if three, you can never walk on the back of your head. So that's how ridiculous, really, and this was a university graduate, but still our cultural, baggage is with us even out here. That baggage, I still see, it follows us around. So, I'm not immune as part of these stereotypes. There are times I engage the community and call everybody, you work so hard, and they don't show up for a meeting. Sometimes I question if it was a man, would they have turned up? Would they have come up in good numbers? Would they have supported my initiative? Those all linger in your head because we are part of this baggage. Even if I feel I've achieved some strides, I'm still pulled back by the culture that dominates all those stereotypes, that affect women. So yeah, those are, some challenges that we will face as women.
Yeah, and I think we'll just keep on moving. Yeah,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, the world is moving on, and I think the role of women is actually recognized that women must be part of the decision making process in any aspects of life, whether it's political, economic, social, or even within the family. I think we have to acknowledge that actually women are playing a great role in our families in terms of economic support of the family, not only here in the United States, but also back home in Africa, because we're still thinking about our own family members who are still left behind. Yeah. So we're almost going towards the end of our program. I just want to ask, we're living in a COVID situation. And I remember that you mentioned earlier that you have to cancel some events because of the COVID situation.
Yeah.
So if you can share with us briefly, like the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on our community, particularly in your state, for example, and how are you handling that now?
So, COVID had a great impact, of course, nationwide. We all see it's globally. That's why it's a pandemic. And of course, like one way it impacted us was in March, we are not able to come together. That programming did not happen. And unfortunately, up to now, we cannot gather in numbers, to accomplish that, even though that was our goal. But, our community, I would say, was not immensely affected as far as, COVID test and all this, I guess, because of, I don't know when Mead said, I don't know the mechanism that would, suggest that our community probably was not as impacted as other communities we had. So we had few cases here and there, but it was not very many, especially I'm talking community, Sudanese community. So people are beginning to come out now, like few gather together. If you're a family, you can come together, and have an event. I've seen people celebrate birthdays, graduations, just as a small group. Some haven't seen us do them virtually though, even though we're introducing that slowly. We're planning to engage our young children and check in how they're doing in school with, learning virtually and all this. So that's coming. We've broken our programming into three, like we have 3 age groups we will engage, the under 18 to maybe 12, and then also the young adults, and then the families, engage them, because we're really trying to break this barrier between us and our children, and we're trying to navigate to bridge, that. So COVID cases, there's a little lift. Generally, the guidelines are being a little bit lifted. Few people can meet here and there, and you could rent a place if you are at this number. So we're beginning to see hope, and we're hoping that soon, with the summer, when it starts, we will be able to launch our activities. We have a lot of activities we would like to do outdoors, part of maintaining or passing on our cultural heritage to our children. We just want to do traditional dances outside. Everybody can join in and dance whatever traditional dance, so that we engage with each other, so they know that this is who I am, this is where I belong. So we're looking forward for that. With the vaccines coming, I hope people get vaccinated and the impact of the pandemic goes down. People will begin to get back to their normal lives.
Yeah, we're all hoping for that, actually. Yeah, because we have to cancel our ESSCA conference last year, and also the women conference also that we planned. It was both of them were canceled because of the COVID situation. So I learned a lot from this interview, actually, your experience as a refugee, as an immigrant, and as a woman and a woman leader. So what is the final word that you want to share with our audience as a concluding remarks for this conversation?
Right. I honestly have a message, and if you don't mind, I am going to refer to my sheet here to make sure I don't miss anything out.
No problem, no problem.
Yes,
that actually,
because I look for this opportunity. So I honestly sometimes do wish, God, if there was a pill, if there was medicine somewhere I could bring and just give my community, I want to get that medicine, but I don't know if there's one out there. Not to say that we're bad as a people, but I don't know what is going on. Is it the curse that's laid on us in the Bible? God will punish Sudan, or what is it that's going on that we are so unable to be able to, manage or succeed in the environments that, we go in. We've had some success. I'm talking about success as a community. We have our own successes, individual as families. I'm talking about as a community. So I really truly think that we need to be a strong community, to organize ourselves, to organize strong programs and activities to pass on or to our children, to preserve our cultural heritage. We need to come together and share ideas. Sharing ideas is the way to go. I'm not better than another person. If I share something, don't take it in a certain way. If someone shares, you share. When we bring all those together, we will be strong. I do feel that we need to be strong in integrating our two cultures, the South Sudanese culture and the culture in the environment where we live, especially for our children. Help them navigate that. It will help them to be successful. I believe that we need to be owners and stakeholders of our own community. Community is what you bring, what you cause, what you make it to be. You have to build it. You have to be part of it. You have to volunteer your time. You have to volunteer your resources. I've seen ourselves, we like to compare ourselves. Oh, I know takun community day, I know takun that, but we forget the work and effort they put into their community. We do not put in enough when it comes to our community. We're good at finger pointing, they did, they that. Let's forget the past and move on. If somebody you put in leadership betrayed you, they did something, embezzled funds, I don't know if it ever happened, forgive and move on. Let's not limit ourselves by these differences, by our cultural limitations. Let's embrace diversity. As an Equatorian community, I really do challenge us to be humanity. We're just a human race. Or Equatorians, not this tribe, not that tribe. I don't care if you're this tribe, I don't want to support you. If you're that tribe, I do not want to support you. And when someone shares something, they are not bragging, they are not showing off. They share because they just want to educate their community. I do strongly believe that education is important. It will help us to improve our community. We should and continue to embrace the notion of a child is raised by a village. That is very important. That's how we were raised. We should instill that into our community such that our children are raised by all of us as a community. And when I say that, like in Missouri and Equatoria community, our children are our children. It should not be your child and the other child, and I'm sitting back and enjoying because your family, your child is going through a hard time. No, this will not take us anywhere, you know. So it's very important that we improve our communication between ourselves as parents and our children that will be able to help us to be in their life, to first to know what's going on in their life before we get surprised with the news that we didn't know was happening. I think that will help us. We just need to stand together as a community and learn from each other. We need to ditch this spirit of selfishness. We need to ditch that. We need to collaborate our efforts and be prepared to change our lives in diaspora. Honestly, I do believe that nobody is going to come from outside to solve our problems. Even if we think that, oh, we can go and ask money from this charity, from that charity, you have to stand on your feet and show them what you got before they could put in a coin of theirs for you to run away with or for you to mishandle. So when we stand strong in our programming and we're doing things that help us, people will trust us. Even if we go outside to ask for resources, we have to be able to invest in our own resources. So I encourage people everywhere you are, be part of your community, support the leaders you put in the office. We're good at choosing leaders and we put them in the office and we back off. These people cannot do anything without you. Let's learn to ask, how can I help? What can I do? Let's learn from this culture. It's a rich culture and we see people, everybody volunteering. You ask for a volunteer, honestly, you will be overwhelmed. Everybody wanting to give a hand. Let's learn that. Let's learn to do that. And if we do that, you build this community, I build this community. If it's 94 people, like in the state of Missouri, we are 94 families building the equatorial community here. If this community is strong, ESSCA will be strong because we empower it and it empowers us as well. So let us just learn to know that we need to invest our relationships in each other. No outsider is going to come and help or solve our issues. Let us come together as a united community to find ourselves again. That's my message. Thank you.
And yeah, that's a very powerful message, actually, coming together as a community to address our own issues and build up our community. And I think supporting our leaders is the most important thing, because the leader alone cannot do the work that is required. That's true. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you again for sharing your experiences and also the knowledge that you provided for our viewers. Thank you so much. And I hope that I will attend some of your events when the COVID is over and majority of us are vaccinated and the restrictions are lifted. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you for having me.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye. Bye.